Hi, I'm Daniel with eTrailer, and today we're going to take a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the REDARC Tow-Pro Liberty brake controller on our 2022 Ram 2500. Having a brake controller in your vehicle is going to allow you to control those brakes on your camper or trailer. And a lot of times it is enforced by the law to have one, so it is good to have one, as well as it's just there so you can come to a safe stop. And that manual override function could save your life if you are in a sway situation. This brake controller does have proportional braking, and all that really means is how hard you press on that brake pedal. It's going to be the same pressure on your camper. So if you press it really hard, you can come to a sudden stop, or you can come to a nice gentle stop. Now, this brake controller is suitable for campers that have up to 2 axles. Now, this is a 2500, so it's capable of towing quite a lot. So if you do need a brake controller that can handle a camper up to 3 axles, we do have the Tow-Pro Elite. Now, the Tow-Pro series is really nice because it just have a small knob that can mount pretty much anywhere on your cab. And a lot of these newer vehicles have a ton of electronics packed into them, so having a larger brake controller like maybe the Takancha might not be something you're into. But if you have any questions at all about brake controllers and what's best for you and your truck, please feel free to reach out to us here at eTrailer, and we'd love to help you out. And this is where we decided to mount our brake controller. It was just a blank spot on this center console, which is really nice. It kind of looks OEM with all the other knobs we have here. And you can see there's a blue light on there, and that's on the 0, and you can turn this all the way up to 10. That's going to increase your braking power. Now I'm going to press on the brakes, and you can see when it's at 10, it's going to be the brightest red. And when you go to the lower numbers, it's going to slowly turn to that blue. So it's going to go a color spectrum basically between those. To enact that manual override, all you have to do is press down on that button, and you can see that light turning red. And that's just going to enact those brakes to be light pressure so it can correct a sway situation. Now you can actually turn this up while pushing it down, and that will increase that braking power too. This is a pretty simple brake controller, but those lights could be blinking in different orientations, and that can tell you some errors if those do occur. So just check your owner's manual. They have a really good guide, and then they'll help you kind of figure out what's going on. But as far as the installation of this goes, it's not too bad. It's actually plug and play with that custom harness. Now, you are going to have to drill some holes in parts of your dash, so if that's not something you're interested in doing yourself, you can check out our Duto locator. We can find a professional in your area to get this installed for you. But if you want to tackle this yourself, follow along and I'll walk you through how we got this installed. First off, we want to find a spot for our button. Now, there's a lot of places you can do this, and you need to make sure that the spot has enough room behind it as well, because this is going to be what's going to be behind the button. So I looked at a couple of our videos, and I saw right here is a viable option. So I figured it would look pretty good right there. That's a nice open spot, and it would look pretty OEM. So what we'll do is we'll get this entire center console removed so we can get this mounted right there. You can really put this anywhere as long as it fits. I was thinking somewhere on the console in this area, but the steering wheel kind of hides it there. And you can put it on the left side, so pretty much anywhere, but like I said, we'll go with right there. So first off, on the top here, I'm going to remove this plastic. And behind that, there's going to be 2 screws. So it looks like there are going to be a Torx bit. So I'll grab that size and take those out. With those 2 fasteners removed, we can just yank on this and get this to remove. There's going to be clips going down, so I'm going to grab here and just pull straight back. And those are disengaging. Just work my way down. And there's going to be a lot of stuff plugged in, so I'm just going to slowly take it out. Now, this doesn't come out too far because of all those wires connected to it. I want to make sure I'm not unplugging any of the important connections to this monitor, because that could put the system in a fritz since the battery's still plugged in. So I got a 12 volt up here, and I'm just going to unplug this. So there's going to be a blue tab. I'm going to press in on that and get that unplugged. And that gives me a little more room to pull this out. And then I'm just going to flip this over. And that allows me to get to this bottom section here. Now using a T15, there's going to be 2 fasteners that are securing this lower section on, so I'm going to get these both removed. I'm going to get this unplugged as well, because we are going to be removing this section so we can drill our hole. So get this unplugged. Now there's a couple of tabs on top and bottom that will have to get pulled out. To make it a little easier, I just got those bottom ones. I get both of those disengaged, and then I kind of had that pushed forward, and then I worked on the top. And then after that, I got that to slide right out. I taped up where we're going to put our button and where we're going to drill, and I'll get that marked out. But before I do, there is going to be a plastic piece we'll have to cut out, because like I said, we'll have to fit our back piece in. So just that middle section there, I'm going to get that cut. I'm just going to use an oscillating tool and just get this cut out very carefully. Put some tape on where we're going to drill for our button. But first, on the back side, there is some webbing that we'll have to cut out. It's just a support piece. I got some side cutters. I'm just going to get this cut out and use a burr bit just to clean it up. That just broke off. I got a tape measure and I measured the exact center of this square so I can mount this in the center. And it comes with this ring. I'm just going to place this on the center, align it best I can. Just going to trace the bigger hole, and then that smaller hole on top, that's where our light's going to go. I'm going to use an 1/8 inch drill bit and drill out this hole on top. That's where our light's going to go. Get this drilled. I'm also going to use this to drill out the center of our larger hole. I'm going to open this bottom hole up. I have a 3/8 drill bit. I'm going to get this drilled out. And there's going to be a little space between that little hole and large hole. I'm just going to get a knife and trim that away so we can get our button to fit in here. And now I'll just test fit our button, make sure this fits correctly. And it looks like there's just a little bit more webbing in the way. This isn't fitting quite right, so I'm just going to trim this out just a little bit and test fit this after. I trimmed a little more and got this to fit properly with our light poking out. And now we can put our trim piece in. This is optional, so I'm not going to use this just because it's going to look a lot nicer without it on there because it's all black. So I can screw on our fitting. We don't want to make this super tight, just enough so we can still click that manual override. And I'm just going to take a 12mm socket and snug this down by hand. Now I'm going to take a really small screwdriver and get this turned all the way to the right, or I actually can just use my hand here. And it's already turned all the way to the right, so I can line our knob up with the tin. So I'll find the tin, get that aligned, and all the way right is 10, and all the way left is going to be 0. This kit will come with a plug that will plug directly into your factory plug that's somewhere up in your dash, and the other end here that has the black wider plug, this will plug into your main unit. So now we need to locate where our plug is. So there's a couple different places on the Rams. Sometimes it's on the left side up here, but ours today is going to be on the right side up kind of close to the center console. Usually it's covered in some foam. So I'll get this located and plugged into our harness. And with that plugged in, just make sure there's a nice click. And the other end I'll just plug directly into our main unit. We can now get this put back in place, but first we're going to grab our cable, and there's going to be a 90-degree and a straight, and these can be interchangeable. One's going to go to our main unit. Now there is going to be some stuff in our way here, so I'm not going to use the 90-degree, I'm going to use the straight. Get this plugged in. That'll just snap right in, and I'll take this out. And make sure that clicks right in place for us. And don't forget to put those fasteners back in. We'll get that wire harness plugged in that we took off as well. And I'll route this. There's going to be an opening right here that's going to lead down to where we need to plug it in. So I'll get this fed through that. So we don't lose it. And now we can get this clip back in. So don't forget to plug in anything you may have unplugged. So I'm just going to get this back in. Get this lined up best I can, and then just lightly push to snap this back on. I'm going to work my way up. Make sure it's firmly on here. And I'll put those two small screws back in the top. We'll get our main unit mounted up, and this is going to have an inertia sensor in it. So you want to mount this to something sturdy. I got a fastener, so you may want to go to the hardware store. And I'm going to use this to actually fasten it to a support beam under here. Well, it's a little tight. It's going to be really hard for you to see, so I'll just get this fastened up and we'll show you what it looks like after. And there's just a square hole on that silver piece of metal that's just a support basically. And I just tightened up that fastener, threw some zip ties around that, and made sure it was nice and tight. Last thing to do is to test this out and to get it calibrated. Now, first we just have a test box, and I plugged it into our 7-way on the back. And I just turned our dial up all the way to 10. I'm just gonna press the manual override. And we're getting some voltage, so we know that this is functioning. Now we can calibrate our brake controller. So we got our trailer hooked up, and I'll plug in our 7-pole wiring. The brake controller is blinking between green and blue. That means it's in calibration mode. Now we'll set this to about 5 or 6, and that's a good place to start with this. And we'll take this for a spin and do some brakes and get this calibrated. It should stop blinking once it's calibrated. And it was a little hard to show on camera, but that blinking did stop. It was just one more stop I had to do. It does say about 20 stops, going pretty fast and applying those brakes. But now it's just a solid blue, so we know it is finally calibrated. Once you've successfully calibrated your brake controller, you can start using it and safely towing with your 2022 Ram 2500. Thanks for watching.